Hi guys. So still on the divorce saga. I'm Daddy Freeze, convener of the Free the Sheeple movement and leader of the Free Nation in Christ. I greet you and I bring glad tidings. I have Pastor Anne or Pastor Annie who would like to share her story but anonymously though. So okay, please send me a request so I can add you live, or just say hi. Pastor Annie, just say hi. Pastor Annie, just say hi so I can. So I'm inviting her. She's going to share her story. For all of you who love coming here, thank you so much. All right,
Good
so ladies and
evening.
gentlemen, with me I have Pastor Annie. And tonight we're continuing our divorce saga. And I said this whole week is going to be dedicated to divorce and people sharing their stories and what they've been through. So, Pastor Annie,
Yes, sir. Good evening.
all
Hi,
right, I'm
everybody.
anonymous, so I'm going to um, keep you, but let us hear your voice. So, go ahead, tell us your story.
Hi, everybody. It's just it's a lot, but I will start by saying that divorce, everybody thinks is not a solution, or it's something that shouldn't be mentioned in our society, or something a woman should be ashamed of. I'm
So,
not saying it should be the first
can you
thing on your
raise
mind.
your people can't hear you well, so um, we'll need you to raise your voice.
Okay. Um,
She's not going to show her face. We've had this discussion because it's part of the reason she's going through a lot and she's being stalked um, and all sorts of stuff by the ex.
Is it better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Yes. Like I was saying before earlier, um, I I don't want people that has a myopic and fickle mind to think this is a mission to destroy a family as a unit.
Hmm.
Nobody's after a family as a unit. I need everyone to debug their mind. This is about being sensible and reasonable. If we have to talk about this in a society, even when it has to do in the Christendom, we have to be open-minded that when you are winning souls for Christ and for the kingdom, you don't send them back to their maker untimely.
Hmm.
That is not showing that you are being patriotic to the kingdom of God.
Absolutely.
And my question has always been to people, how do you know at the point, for example, Evangelist Sinachi, how do we know that at the point she left to be with the Lord, that she was at peace with God?
Hmm.
Did she get a chance to make peace with God? So sending her home untimely doesn't make her a hero. So let's not be stuck with our little mind thinking that we can play God when we shouldn't. We are looking at divorce as a safe option, as a last resort, something that is not an eyesore, that should be mentioned, and people shouldn't be afraid to reach out if that is the only option available, especially when there is so much strife, you are not compatible, it's toxic, dangerously toxic. um the church shouldn't make people be afraid of taking that as an option, or taking a bold step of for divorce. um Daddy Freeze, I will tell you that my experience, it was just one church that, at least that I know of, that still gave me the opportunity to serve, despite the fact that I was divorced. It's not just about what was preached on the altar, but it was how the church culture, after the sermon was over, welcomed me and were friendly. People didn't make a pass at me. Eyeballs weren't rolling. There wasn't like a chit chat or gossip by the side. So you could have a GO or a pastor stand up on the podium and say, "Leave, it's better you are alive than dead." But then what does the Sunday school teacher say?
Hmm.
What does the choir master say? When you
Hmm.
are supposed to back up, do they tell you shut up indirectly or directly and make you feel indifferent because you're a divorcee, because you are divorced?
Hmm.
So I feel like it's a little bit hypocritical that we say that it's okay for you to stay alive, it's okay to walk away. But how do we back that up? How do we isolate people that are divorced? We cannot even judge. We don't even know what their stories are. We are lucky to have them alive. Some people prefer to go to Sinachi's funeral than giving her a hug if they see her in public if she had walked away from her marriage.
Hmm.
So, and when someone is in a toxic marriage or relationship, how do you even build a personal relationship with God? Because you're constantly in tears, you are bitter. And out of bitterness, there are things you hear about the gospel. The Bible said, all things worketh for your good. Your mind is going to resist it because your question is, how does this beating, how does these tears, how does this unfairness, nobody is going to believe me, how is it going to work out for my good?
Hmm.
So at what point are we going to believe and accept it and live with it, that this is something we can never run away from? We need
Hmm.
to face it squarely, we need to accept it. Just because something dirty or bad has been in existence for a long time doesn't make it okay. It doesn't
Absolutely.
make it okay that we have kicked against divorce, hated this word divorce so much, that people have been dying in it. A Christian or a pastor killing his wife, whether accidentally or purposefully, a brother in Christ hurting another brother in Christ. Are we not ashamed of ourselves? Like, what is it supposed to be?
Hmm.
When the word, when we use that word in exchange of vows, say for better, for worse, that it phrase, it's not worse from the marriage, it's worse from the outside.
Absolutely.
The
Worse.
pressure,
Worse means
exactly.
worse means job loss. Worse means
Yes.
in
Delay in
prison,
fertility, delay in childbirth.
in having children. Not the two of
Exactly.
themselves. That's not part of a worse.
Exactly. It's not part of the worst because you're not supposed to be the pain on the inside. Home is where the happiness lies. That's where your peace should be.
Hmm.
Home is where it doesn't matter how sad, how bitter, how uncomfortable you feel, you talk to your partner, you work things out. But where you see you cannot work it out, it's impossible. What you thought this was wasn't what it is. Some people married too early. Some were pressured into marriage. Some married because they needed to help their family. Some married because the man talked them into it, thinking that who he is on the face value is who he actually is. Daddy
Mm.
Freeze, I think I remember a couple of years ago, I was still a little kid when this happened. If I can kind of keep the name of the pastor away, but he was a well-known singer from the eastern part of Nigeria. And he got married in a Pentecost, well-known Pentecost, one of the first generation Pentecostal church.
Churches.
And yes, and then he you know, like how you are asked, is there anything between the both of you that you want to say out now and stuff like that? You say no, there is nothing, you know, that is hidden between the both of you. Now, because you were not allowed to have a carnal knowledge of the person before you get married, they got home and he discovered that this lady had a medical issue. She didn't have, I would say, a female part, and never told this, yes, and never told the man, the husband, at the point they were married. They have already exchanged their vows. Everyone has gone home. It's just now the two of them trying to, consummate their marriage. And oops. So at that point, how do you want him to sit there and pray miracles to happen so she can develop what?
Mm. Mm.
So there are circumstances that we need to live. We cannot lump everybody in one bracket, in one jacket, and force people to be bottled in. Someone is going to go down and die, and that's going to affect the children as well. So you better be separate and be friends and raise the children cordially in the ways of the Lord and show them that love can strive even in differences,
Mm.
than sticking it out to say, what will people say?
Mm.
So
Word.
for me, like I said, it's not about going with the wind or whatever is like people will target the new thing. This is an attack and attack to Christendom. This is an attack on marriage. That is not true, because I am a PK, what you call a preacher's kid.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you are not
But
just a pastor, you are also a pastor's child.
yes.
But I thought one lady pastor the other day said most of the children from divorced homes are wayward. In my humble opinion, the real wayward people are people that come from pastors' homes. Yes, but
Well,
no,
well,
let me not generalize too. I know quite a
yes.
few from
Yeah,
pastors.
but yes, but I will tell you, and I will agree with you that 40 or 30 or 40, between 30 or 40% of PK pastors' kids struggle. Why? Because there's high expectation, very high expectation. There are jokes or things you just want to be a normal kid. I remember when I was in school, when I was in high school, I wouldn't even do anything, just sitting down there. When they say, oh, someone leads us in prayer, everybody turns around and points at me. And when
Mm,
they were giving out prefect posts in the school, I was given the religious one. I didn't
mm,
even ask for it. So there's this expectation that others will laugh over a joke in a class, and you laugh and everyone frowns at you.
mm,
So sometimes there's this pressure from the society, pressure from the church, pressure from home, where you memorize so much scripture that you cannot even breathe. So that's why I'm not surprised if sometimes pastors' kids leave the circle of the home or where the big eyes are, and they just want to breathe and be like everyone else. And
mm.
if they are not careful, that's where they stray. And I think that's where most pastors' kids get that hashtag, pastors' kids are bad. But in the real sense of it, not really. It's just, someone trying something new. So I will tell you that it's not evil. Nobody, heaven will be full of surprises, Daddy Freeze. And
Mm.
anyone thinking that just because you are divorced automatically you are going to hell, that is a lie from the pit of hellfire.
Mm,
Because there are things we also will be judged by, and making peace with God and whatever you are doing at the point you are being taken, that's what you're going to be judged by. So,
mm,
and you steal from someone else, you take someone's life, and just because I'm divorced or someone else is divorced, doesn't make you a better person. So we need to stop shaming. We need to stop this name tagging. When they cannot stop you, they tag you. They either tag you, excuse my language, a whore if you're a female. They say you are too independent, you're strong-minded. And then another lie is that women stay in the marriages because of a financial strain. Well, we say that because we live in a limited society where a man is 100% a provider and a woman sits at home. How
mm.
about outside the shores? How about overseas where everybody is out of the home and they are working? Some women are still trying to stay there and make it work because the little community, African community around you will still boo you,
Mm.
they will woe you. And see the funny thing, my pastor, my pastor here in the US told me and my ex in our presence, you two need to stay apart. If you don't get divorced as soon as possible, I'm calling the social services, I'm calling the police, and I'm taking your kids.
Wow.
That's
You're
how
never
bad and how brutal that was. Mm-hmm.
you're definitely never gonna get that in Nigeria. Or it's not likely you will get that in Nigeria.
And then my question is, does it mean this every church member or the pastors, a few of them here will go to hell, and then the ones in
Once
Africa or in Nigeria will go to heaven?
mm,
But
I'll,
guess what? He was right, but because you know why? Pastors in America are mandate reporters. You are mandated by law to report or face the law squarely. And guess what? He saved a life because here I am still talking to you. I've been hospitalized. I stayed in a hospital for 6 months. I had minor stroke.
oh,
Yes,
no, no,
I
no, no,
had
no. Response for what? How?
because I lost my speech. I had stroke. I
How did you
had I had
how old
blood
are you?
infection. The rule number one for an African, you never ask a woman how old she
Oh,
is.
no, if you're talking about
Well,
stroke
exclusively, yeah. Nobody lies to Daddy Freeze. We all know that here. Um, I'm 35.
and you had a stroke,
Yes,
this you had a stroke from what?
from domestic violence.
No.
At first, it was there was a warrant for this individual's arrest because at that point they were not getting a pulse. I had a seizure and that was it. So when they were able to resuscitate me, they dropped the charges, and the charges were different from because they thought it was a homicide and stuff like that. So it was quite a different thing. So I had to stay. I went through therapy to learn. I started working with a walker, and then with a cane till I got
Oh, no,
my yes,
no. Did
yes.
you have a TIA?
My head was smashed on the wall.
Yes, but was this like a mild stroke, like a TIA, transient? It,
Yes, yes, yes.
it wasn't a full-blown stroke.
No, but it would have developed into a full blown because my blood pressure, the diastolic, was over 200. So if I wasn't in the hospital at the time, that I seized, I had a seizure, it would have been full blown. But I had some neurological problems that made me suffer high blood pressure and migraine, constant migraine for years. But thank heavens I'm off blood pressure medications. Um, the doctor's neurologist said I will never go back to school. I will never retain anything. I'm not able to stay where there are loud noises. But guess what? I'm a music minister. I went back to school. I got a nursing degree and all that. God healed me. But how about people that didn't make it? How about people that never had a success story like mine?
Mm.
Just because I had a tough skin, I went through depression, anxiety, I saw a psychiatrist. It's different. How about in Nigeria where you don't get all this help?
Mm.
So this thing has eaten so much into us that even a few Nigerians here, we still isolate you and treat you like you have a HIV.
Wow.
So,
Now, let me take you back a little bit. Let's talk about what happened before your head was smashed on the wall. Let's talk about what led to um, the CVA.
okay, so what started the whole thing was I raised the conversation that I have interest that I wish I could go back to school.
Okay.
And the response was never. That, he didn't have a mind that he will ever get married to someone who will ever go back to school.
Now, prior to this, what was your educational qualification?
I dropped out of law school
Oh, so you didn't have a degree.
because I didn't finish because of marriage. He
Oh,
couldn't afford.
wow.
Yes, he couldn't
So,
afford.
because you see, let me tell you something. Let me be very
Yes.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you are in a relationship, a marriage, for instance, and
Mm-hmm.
your partner says they want to go back to school, we need to deal with it. It can be very frustrating.
Yes.
Let's be honest. And
Yes.
because going back to school means all the responsibility is going to be thrown in one direction, especially when you live abroad and the bills are on a daily basis. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you going back to school means I have to bring out all the money. I can't do any project. I just have to, for however long it takes you to go back to that school. I'm just being devil's advocate here. However long it takes you to go back to that school, it's not just as easy as I want to go back to school. You want to go back to school means
No,
you have
but you are wrong. If I'll
to
cut
work.
you short, you are wrong. You are
Okay.
wrong. Very wrong. It's super easy because number one, depending on how much you make, you can file for a financial loan. You can get a federal loan. You can get a federal aid. You
Mm,
can work and still go to school. It's not like you go to school in Africa where you're full time, the way the curriculum is, you sit down full time. Only the younger generation can go to school full time because they don't have the capacity of working full time and going to school. Plus, what are they going working for? Like, it's not like they have any bills to pay. But
mm,
most adults that go to school here, especially in America, I don't know about other places, Europe or other places, it's possible 100% to still be a full-time mom. Other people have done it. I wasn't the only one. And this wasn't just for me, it was for the family. Because
mm.
at that point, I was doing 2, 3 jobs and I was still the breadwinner. So what I wanted to
Oh
do,
no. So listen.
yes.
I'm trying to swing a narrative. Like for instance,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm the breadwinner and then we need somebody with the kids and you have your own job or your job is part-time so you can have
Mm-hmm.
family and then you want to go to school when you already have a degree, I might start worrying that come, why do you want to stress?
Yes.
But you are now the breadwinner. So it's not
Ye-
like he was breadwinner.
Yes. So it was a lot of stress. It was supposed
So
to be a lot of stress on me.
You are the one feeding the family.
Yes, at that
And
point, yes.
go to school, so you don't have to work 3 jobs to feed the family. Maybe you end up working only 2.
Exactly, or even one. You know, if you do full time, even one can change your life because the pay rate is going to go high. I wanted to advance on the career that I have chosen to move to the next level. You
What
know,
were you doing?
I was working as a nursing aide then.
What about him? If you are working as a nursing aide and paying the bills, what was he doing?
He had a lot of issue because he had this anger problem, and that anger problem got him in trouble a whole lot. Wherever he worked, if his supervisor was a female, he had an issue taking orders from female supervisors. So he got fired constantly.
Where do you see this kind of rejected man from?
Yeah, it was, that's what I keep telling people. Sometimes
Orders,
people.
he could not take orders from a woman.
Mhm.
No.
He couldn't even take a simple order from a GPS voice that was female, recorded female. He had an issue with it. Like, when are these people gonna upgrade and have a male voice on GPS? Why should it be a female telling me what to do, when to turn and where to turn?
Olórí burúkú leléyìí kẹ́. Ah,
So
what
this
Baba?
was it was an internal thing that he had a demon he was struggling with.
No, no, no,
So
no,
it
no, no.
wasn't just
He,
about me.
Auntie, let me correct you. He had a legion, as in
Okay, yeah.
a legion of demons running his head. Like it was a town, like his head was a town council of demons.
So
How
I
did you
try.
get this guy?
What was your question again, sir?
When
Sorry.
you meet this town council legion of demons in his head guy?
Well, you will be surprised. It was a youth leader, youth president at my church that did the introduction.
Ah, you would have been better off walking to a psychiatric home and choosing anybody that walked by.
Because the first time my elder brother spoke to him, my brother asked me, "Does this guy have a mental problem?" I got offended. I'm like, "No, why would you say that?" He said, "Because he's weird. He sounds so angry and so controlling. Didn't he know I was on the phone when he was yelling at you?" That was even before we got married. And two nights or a night before the wedding, I got beaten up because I came to the hotel where he was staying with his friend. I came back from Europe. They're supposed to be his best man, um, to drop off a sample of a program. They had to make some corrections on the program, so I needed to drop it off so he sees the correction that was made, if everything was okay. So he was in the bathroom, and the friend told me, I'm like, okay, I got a ride to the place, and we were actually going to the salon, me and the girls. So that I was trying to rush downstairs because they were waiting for me. Their agreement over the phone was that I drop it off. So that was exactly what I did. I said, okay, don't rush him out of the bathroom. Just tell him that I came to drop this off and we will talk later. So I was rushing downstairs because they were waiting, the girls were waiting for me. And I got a call like, how dare me um, take a decision, make such a decision. We'll call it open eye, like you make a decision, you just drops off something, like you're dropping off something, quote quote, like you're dropping off something for a dog. What do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Just dropping off something and taking off. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So I rushed back up. I'm like, I didn't mean to. Just I thought we had that conversation that I was gonna just drop it off. So we had a hair appointment and we are running late already. And that's how I got the dirtiest slap of my life. And that's how we started.
Were
Okay.
you rude to him at that day? Sorry. You have no
Yeah.
excuse. Even if
Yeah.
you call your mother, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you not he should not raise his hands to you. That's wrong. But what were you? I want to see what's in his mind. Because you dropped a paper, he just jumped on you and started slapping you. It doesn't sound okay to me. It sounds like maybe the story is not complete.
Okay, so yeah, the thing is that it sounds so funny, but here's what happened. We had a conversation that he told me there were corrections that needed to be made on the program. So they
Okay.
were those corrections were made and the sample came to me. So I called him, I said the samples are here, but that we are going to for a hair appointment. He said he needs to take a look at them so that because we still have time, if they didn't fix it the way he wanted, we still have time to still make corrections before it's too late. That is also important. So I said, okay, on our way to for the hair appointment, I'm gonna swing by and drop it off because there were a couple of us, we don't want to be late. He said, yes, just drop it off and I will let you know whatever corrections, and maybe on your way back, you could pick it up if there's anything. Or you can just go ahead and tell them to make corrections. Just drop it off because he wasn't even supposed to be at the hotel at that time. Both him and his friend were out. So he said, hopefully leave it at the reception, but call first. If we are back the same time, by the time you get there, then just drop it off and get going because I wouldn't want you guys to also be late. So when I got in there, I knocked. His friend came to the door. He said, "Oh, he's using the bath. He's in the bathroom." I said, "Okay, if he's in the bathroom, then tell him I stopped by. We already had this agreement that I either drop it at the reception if you guys are not there at the hotel. But since you are now back, I'm just dropping it off. He's in the bathroom." And that's all I did. I dropped off and rushed downstairs to join the other girls. Then
Hmm.
he called on the phone. I guess his friend told him, "It's like, how dare you just drop something off like that and just run off?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way, but I thought we had, you know, an agreement that I would, first of all, drop it at the reception if you are not around. But since you were around, that's why I didn't leave it at the reception. I came right up, knocked on the door, but you were using the bathroom. That's why. You didn't see me. I just left it with your friend. I didn't drop it on the floor or anything. I gave it to him like he was standing by the door." So he felt that was disrespectful, me dropping something with someone without handing them over to him. And that was when I got my first slap.
And this was how many days to your wedding?
It was about a day because I remember we got the hair appointment a day, like around the afternoon or evening-ish, like around 3-ish, 4, around that period
So
before the
when
morning of the wedding.
have been like hand mark on your face.
Yes, so they had to use makeup to cover it up. Okay, so before this time,
So you
so,
went for your wedding,
mhm,
hand mark on your face that they use makeup to cover up. Why did you
yeah,
go to the wedding?
I going back home wasn't an option, and I
Explain
thought,
explain this to me.
number one, I felt maybe I was at fault. That maybe he's right. This guy was 12 years old and well, he's still alive, 12 years older than me. So I look up to him like I felt he was right. And I really wanted this to work. So I felt I've taken correction. Maybe next time I should stand there and wait, even if he's using the bathroom till he comes out. But it wasn't like I was instructed such. So it wasn't like I broke a rule, just that I didn't know that handing it over to his best man was wrong. Okay, but here is the thing. Here was a clear sign that maybe I didn't understand. Um, he was in an apartment waiting for, he was with his siblings. He said he was having a family meeting with his siblings. Um, my friend and I, well, this friend I'm talking about, He is currently married to the youth president that introduced the both of us. The youth president was his school son. They went to the same high school. You know, like how they do school father and school son. So he
Yeah.
was a school son, um, engaged to be married to this friend of mine. So the both of us were approaching the house where he was having, I think that it was on a, they were in a 4-story building, the middle apartment, and we were approaching the building when there were loud noises. He was literally backing. I will use the word backing. I have never seen such a strong, never heard a strong voice like that before. So, and coming closer, there's this provisional store where some lady was selling milk and household things. And she said, Sister, I will quote her, uh, are you people going up to that apartment? I said, yes. He said, because I've seen your face around here before. He said, could you tell that brother shouting like that to calm down? Then I turned around on the staircase before we climbed up because my hands, I started sweating. I felt so cold. I told my friend, I said, you know, it's not too late for me to pull out from this because the way this man is shouting, I'm so afraid though, if that is the way he will shout. My friend is like, I don't think so. Maybe his siblings really offended him. You know, like how siblings can react. You don't know maybe what they did to him. Guess what? That is his actual voice. I had that voice literally for 12 years that I was there. Even my kids were so scared of that voice. That voice did not change. I think it was just my maker trying to snap his finger to tell me, "Da, wake up." But I was so childish not to see it, that it wasn't just the siblings, it was a real madness. Then opening the door, he had like a glass, you know, this thick bottom um uh whiskey kind of a glass. They are usually heavy. So he had it in his hands. The next thing I saw was him smashing it on the wall. And guess what? I saw that thing happen over and over and over afterwards. So those things I saw, I thought it was just,
A one-off.
yes, I thought it was just going to end. I thought it was just them. Who knows what they must have done? I blamed the siblings, but no, that's the real person. That's who he is when he gets mad over something or nothing.
Mm. Wow. Now, where did you guys get married? The US or Nigeria?
The US.
Okay, but the US affords you more of an opportunity to Nigeria. Once you don't enter bad, you don't enter one chance bus. You go follow and reach where they go. The US, you
Mm-hmm.
come down at the bus stop.
Yeah, but that's what everybody thinks. But it's not as easy as that. It's not everybody that just wants to get up and run off. So that you don't join, you don't join, uh, um, they don't add you to the status quo. Everybody will not say, that's what Nigerian women do. They go there and they open eye, they tear
Okay,
eye.
so he
That's
took
what
you.
people assume. And for me, I felt, for me, it was about,
I don't know if
sorry.
you. He
Mm-hmm.
took you to America from Nigeria.
Not really, because already, because of my father's position, we always traveled.
Okay.
So it wasn't like,
Father was a pastor. Oh yeah, you
yeah,
said.
we always traveled all over. So it wasn't like he gave me an opportunity. It wasn't like I, he didn't get me my visa. I already had it.
Hmm.
So he was a student then. So my dad even paid for my ticket. At that point, he couldn't afford it. Yes. So, but my stepmother was so much in a hurry to get rid of me. So no questions were asked. They didn't even investigate to find out who he was or what he was doing. She's like, just pack her up and send her off. So
Wow.
that's why I
And
told you
how old
coming
were
home
you?
was not an
How old
option.
were you at this stage?
At that stage, I was between 1920.
They shipped you off to marry between 1920.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is not only the marriage, even your family. I'm sorry to say this, sis, but you had deep-rooted issues even at home. 1920, my 19-year-old daughter, you get the way she go talk about man, me and I'm going to rack.
Exactly. So at that point, if anybody thought it was anything I did or said, the person is a lie because I literally sat where I was asked to sit. Sorry about that. I get scared. I hide myself in the closet. I eat when I'm asked to eat. I sit when I'm asked to sit. So it wasn't about what I did or what I said or anything like that. No, it was just they beat you by default. So going home was not an option. And because of what the church will say, how my dad will be viewed, and it's against, everything he stands for. So I didn't want to drag his name. I didn't want to drag the church. So I stayed, and he will always say something about it when everybody will talk to him like, boy, you're gonna get to the end of an elastic where it will boomerang. It's like, nah, this one is not going anywhere. She can't afford to disgrace the church or her family.
Wow, 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 wow. So when you were 19 or 20, what were you doing while you were in your house? Is that when you were in law school?
Yes, I went to school quite early. Um, I had brothers who were quite intelligent. They were way older than me. They were so extremely smart and gifted. So, and it was like a challenge at home that sometimes when they were trying to give you punishment, you would be given a dictionary to go read. So my brothers, while I think I was after my JS3, you have a little time you stay home before your SS1. I had a couple of cousins and other pastors' kids who were living in the north, that their parents wanted them to go to school in the eastern part. So they came and kind of housed around our housed with us then to take, they were preparing for
Why?
GCE. Yeah, no, GCE. Some were preparing for YA, but GCE and JAMB.
Damn, yeah.
So my brother made me to enroll and join them for GCE. My dad is like, don't you think she's quite young? He said, what? What do you want her to do? Sit home and watch TV? So, where you had brothers who were making A plus, my brother then took A level Cambridge exam from Nigeria and did so excellently well. He took it in Ghana. So when you have a brother who is really that smart, they push you to the limit. They don't believe anything is impossible. So at that point, I took that GCE, and guess what? I got lots of credit. I believe it was 3 or 4 A's, and the rest were C's. So, and I took my jam and I passed.
And you were in GSS 3.
I was done with JS3, waiting to get my SS1 started.
So that means you didn't go to senior secondary school at all. You just went from GSS 3 to university.
But I came back and I took my exam, my WAEC exam as an external student.
So, okay, so instead of going to SS1, you went to the university.
Yes. First of all, I got into, because my first choice was Abuja. But my dad said for that age, nah, that they're not letting me go anywhere far. I have to stay within the state, not to mention, but within the state where we were living, that and that was my second choice. I took the first choice, Abuja, was because I heard then that the lower department was really good. And secondly, I wanted to leave home by all means possible. So, but they wouldn't let me leave home. So there was a little delay about almost a couple of months. I think I didn't get enrolled right away because they were struggling with my age. It wasn't a popular thing then, as at my set, getting into the university at that age. It wasn't really popular. Now, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds go to colleges, but then it wasn't popular, you know, doing that. So they kind of struggled with the school back and forth. And then they later saw that, yes, for real, I wrote that test myself, and it wasn't something that, an external person did. It wasn't just a man trying to kind of use money and push the daughter to school and stuff like that. So after much, I was allowed.
Mm.
So later, about 2 years after, either 2 or 2.5 years after, I registered as an external student and took my work.
Okay, just so that you have it.
Yes. So it was at that point then that my youth pastor introduced this guy to me.
But why didn't you finish your law degree? How many more years did you have?
I think I had 2 more years left.
So, okay, yeah, but if you had 2 more years, why didn't you just wait and finish the law degree and have the law degree, then go and marry?
I couldn't stay home. I couldn't stay home. Um, I just couldn't stay. I couldn't take the abuse I was getting from the maltreatment I was getting from um my father's wife, my stepmother. It was mind draining, and it was affecting my father, who tried his best to defend me the best way that he could, but it was distracting. It was destroying his ministry. There was division everywhere. She was just causing this huge saga. So I felt that was the best for me because I didn't know where else to run to. I didn't have any. I've never left home before.
Wow, 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 wow. So, when you now got to the US, you now started doing, did you go for any course in the US when you got there?
Yes. So he didn't know. I met a friend where I went for someone's baby shower. And this lady, she and her husband, they've been my friends of all these years. They stood by me throughout the divorce. In fact, he became physical with the guy, like tagged them, tried to separate me from everyone else. But I had two families that stood by me through thick and thin and helped me walk throughout it all. So this lady, God brought her my way. I met her in a baby shower. She was so friendly. She introduced me to um, the care job, the nursing assistant job,
Mm,
and told me about going to school, getting taking a class for it in a
mm,
community college. So she and her husband sponsored me without him knowing. So he leaves to work in the morning. The place is not far off. And I will do the things I need to do at home, and then I will sneak out and go take that class. So I took the class for like, it wasn't up to 5 days. I discovered that there are some foreigners that come from countries where they speak French and English is like a second language. I discovered that I could be helping in the school with them learning English first before they take the nursing class. So I started doing that on the side to make some money.
mm.
And then I discovered that I can challenge the exam, the state exam. I don't have to finish the actual course. I can challenge the test. Because if I didn't do that, he was about finding out that I was leaving home. 5 days afterwards, he started suspecting because he will call on the land phone and I wouldn't pick up. So I've been lying to cover up for 5 days and I was this close to being busted. So I asked the instructor, she said that I could test what they call challenge the course and test out with the state board. And so I sat home and taught myself via YouTube some of the classes that were previously posted by others. And then I went and challenged the course and took the exam and passed it. So
Wow.
he was surprised. He didn't even know when I got that. And also, that's how I got my driver's license. The same friend took me. I went and tested out with her car.
Wow. So when you now got the job, how did you tell him at home?
Um, Actually, I didn't get a job right away. I first of all had to um, explain that here I would love to help, with finances because he was in school then, but he was having issues at medical school because of his attitude, like arguing with his female instructors and stuff like that. So I'm like, I think I can help, So he was the one that found the place, my first job. He was the one that found that job. Um, but I didn't quite like the job because the job he found me was in a warehouse. Um, it was in a warehouse and men were working there. It was an overnight job, FedEx. They were moving packages, and I wasn't even properly dressed for a place like that. Um, so when I came back the first day, I told him that I don't think this place is the best place for me. There's no room for growth. Like, it's all male job. It's studious and they carry heavy boxes and lift things. He's like, well, princess, welcome. This is not your father's house. You better toughen up and take what life gives you. So I didn't go back to that place again because I didn't feel it was healthy for me. So I called the job and I told them that I wasn't feeling too good. It wasn't the right place for me. I explained to the lady, thank God for America. Sometimes you tell them the truth, they will understand. And they had to lie on my behalf that they can't keep me because they feel that the males there will sexually harass me. So that's the excuse they gave him.
Mm.
I told the lady I wasn't comfortable working with all men and lifting all that she said she felt the same thing, that I was pretty young to come there, that it's not a place for a woman. So, and I needed someone to help me talk to him to convince him. So they had to come up with that lie in order to let me go.
All right. So you were working, you were paying the majority of the bills in the house.
Mhm.
Did he ever cheat on you? Let's even look at that aspect of the relationship.
No, I don't think so. If he ever did, then, but it's not in his character. I don't believe he did. I know you can't swear for anybody, but I think I can swear for him in that
You
aspect.
don't like women, someone that cannot take orders from women.
Yeah, he just didn't have the taste for women. Like, it's not his thing. That's not where his sin is. His
Now,
weakness
looking,
in anger.
was he good looking,
You mean like
cute, handsome? They must
you
have.
mean like kissing a frog and hoping he's gonna turn to Prince Charming? No, he was not. And that was one thing most of my family members or my cousins, they used to make jest of me, like, this guy, it's like Beauty and the Beast. He will beat you up. He has no character. He doesn't even have the money. Because we could say maybe he's rich, that's why you don't want to leave. He will beat you and buy you things. But that wasn't the case. And then they're like, it's not even like he's cute. And they're like, maybe it should be the other room. Who knows? So they will make fun of me. I'm like, this is not funny. They're like, yeah, it's funny because we don't know why someone would treat you like this. It got to a point one time we were coming back from Nigeria, right there at Amsterdam. The way this guy smacked me, because yes, he punished me from Lagos, from Murtala Muhammad. he punished me and made me, and my punishment was that I wasn't going to eat whatever they serve. I shouldn't touch it. That was my punishment. Yeah, he used to give me punishment like a kid. One time he made me kneel down and raise my hand like we used to do in high school, and then he would hold the belt and lay on the bed sleeping, and I'm supposed to be kneeling down with my hands up all night. If he ever opens his eyes and see me like my hands down or me feeling sleepy, he will use the belt and smack me and whip me. Yes, this is a public forum. You can hide a pregnancy just like you can hide stuff like this. You lie against someone,
He
they come after you.
punish you. Do you know I cannot punish my children like this?
Exactly.
I think the last time I punished my children with kneel down and raise your hands. Ah, your wife. So he said
He,
you should
he said he was training me.
not eat.
Yes, that was my punishment. So then he went to use the restroom. I was so hungry. So I took, those tiny little crackers. I don't know if they're like only two, or those tiny little things they give you in a flight, especially KLM. I just hid it in my bag, in my pocket. So when he went to use the bathroom, I looked around, I waited, and at least I checked the time to be sure. Definitely, there's no way he wouldn't be actively peeing at that point. So I ate the crackers. I was just stuffing the thing in my mouth, trying to flush it down with water, and he caught me. That's when he smacked me again. Yes. So he never stopped.
So
It all
you as in did he smack your lap or he just smacked your face as in he smacked your
he smacked me at the back of my head. Like, what do I think I'm
he
doing?
gave you
So yes.
hey.
Was I trying to disobey
Now
him?
that kind of thing. What were other people doing?
People turned around and looked, you know, but two black people, what do you expect? And then he started, cussing
Saying
me out in natives. What was your question again?
on the plane or inside the airport.
It was in the airport, not too far from the restroom.
End this guy for you now. We'll find this
We
guy. Damn.
we were trying to transit. Well, he's been out of my life for more than 5 years now, so it's a close story. He's gone. He has moved on. He's remarried and having issues there too. So it wasn't.
Inside a hole. He's in need of proper mending from men in the mad.
Unfortunately, I had my first child at 4 months, out of this same abuse.
When he wanted to divorce from this lizard, this monitor lizard,
Mhm.
half frog, what were people saying?
Well, that's what African women do when they come to America. Now she's trying to go to school. That's what going to school courses, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But things fall apart when the center cannot hold. I love that team. I love that story. People don't understand that before something crashes, before a wall falls down, there's been a crack.
Ah,
So there's been years of things going bad. Daddy Freeze, I think I would have still stayed. But yes, let me tell you why I made that statement. I called this guy one time. I said, one time we went to Nigeria in presence of my family members. I said, I'm not going to follow you to your state. I'm going straight to, our state, my birth state, to be with my siblings. I said, he pleaded, he was scared. he thought I was leaving him for good or something like that. I said, but the only thing you will do that will make me forgive everything you have done is if you come in the presence of everyone, including your own family. I need you to mention, you keep saying you are sorry. I need you to say, what are you sorry about? I need you to mention those things you did. I want to hear that you know you hurt me. You destroyed me even as a kid. You put fear into me. It was a master-slave relationship. You damaged me. You made me try to commit suicide 3 times. Yes, I lost self-confidence. I just want to hear it. You know how you want someone to validate someone, for example, heavens forbid, killed a family member. You just want them to mention it, just to make you at least feel some kind of, you know,
What's his
this
sister
person that
him?
he said he was going to do it. Oh, no, that's not going to be a problem. And then later he said, you know what? Thunder should fire me. God punish me there. Say he's sorry for what? He knows I'm a coward. I'm not going anywhere. That was the day I knew that that was over. Because healing starts from someone accepting what they did, mentioning it, and then asking for forgiveness. But when you use a generalized word and say, I'm sorry, you say it all the time. It's become a constant thing. It's like you are possessed of something. You dangle someone off from a story building. You throw heavy objects. You drag me on my hair and pull my braided hair off and I'm bleeding. You point gun to my head and tell me you will kill me and bury me and nobody will do, excuse my language, shit about it. And that after all, my family does not want me. Where will I go back to? My stepmother will not accept me. So, and then later you say you are sorry. You don't know what came over you. Now, I'm tired of hearing that word, sorry. What I wanted to hear actually was mention, I need you to accept that you have been a dictator. I need you to accept that you have been brutal. You have damaged me. And then I'm sorry for doing those things and I'm going to work on them. He couldn't even mention it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow. Pastor Annie, I think your story needs part 2. We've been on for almost 2 hours now. And for over an hour at least. And it doesn't look like we're going anywhere. So you know what, guys? Tomorrow is Friday. Or today is Friday. I'll chat you up during the day. Let us see if we can continue sometime then. So said part 2, part 3, part 4. Absolutely. And you see, the message is the church has failed.
Yes.
Pastor Annie are you an ordained pastor or you're just a pastor because you're your father's child?
No. I went to Bible school and I also went through Bible training at Omega Fire. Like I was saying, that Omega Fire was the only church that gave me an opportunity to serve. They didn't treat me any different. Yes. He's a very wonderful man. His church, his pastors, they didn't treat me any different. I didn't see anyone roll eyeballs. I was allowed to worship God as a music minister. I was allowed to serve as a children's pastor. Nobody said, oh, because you're a divorcee, what are you going to teach the kids? I made an impact, you know. It was a home. It revived my prayer life. That was when the depression, anxiety left me. I saw an avenue, yes, to interact. People who didn't judge me, who loved me. I spent my time serving, helping the children. I will carry the babies when they cry in the church. It did help me to heal, you know. So they gave me an opportunity without being judgmental to help me heal. I love singing. It helps me. with anxiety. It helps me. It made me know that God
Wow.
loves me. I wasn't condemned. So,
I should call Apostle Suleiman and tell him this. I'm
mhm.
impressed. I'm impressed. I know Apostle Suleiman is is Abuja pastor, for instance, is a divorcee.
Yes,
Pastor.
Pastor Faith.
So he's one of the people who encourages women in bad marriage situations. They are beating you, they are dragging your hair, they are giving you punishment. Leave. Now the problem is, you raised a problem with the church. The churches that will even say, okay, leave, you will leave, but then they'll be doing you like this in the background.
Mm-hmm.
They will not allow
Exactly.
you to function in the full capacity. I also
Mm-hmm.
experienced my former church. And there was a time I remember discussing this with Apostle Suleiman. I told him, I said, look, this is why I left the church. There was no space for me left in the church. So I left and literally found my own calling. But how many people can now find a calling and build a followership and even get, because to preach the word of God, you actually need revelation from God. It's not easy to, what do you want to go and preach that their pastors have not preached to them? You need to really have those revelations. And in my church, they taught you like this. You come and tell me, now me go give you the lawyer. I get like 8 lawyers on standby. Wait, if you don't have money, we'll raise money for you. You will do that divorce. You understand?
Yes.
So
So I just want to debug people's mind, and I don't need people attacking. This is not about a crusade against the body of Christ, the union, the attack on marriage, attack. If
no,
things
but
are well, you are
yeah,
with your partner, you are
that
with someone who you love.
Pastor Annie,
Why are you scared that anybody is attacking you?
wait, Pastor Annie,
Mm-hmm.
the institution of marriage as we know it has to be overhauled totally, especially the church definition of marriage has to be overhauled. You see, Annie, your case was bad. Osinachi just died. Someone has died.
But Daddy Freeze, the church is not going to make anybody value themselves more to know it's time to leave.
No, but
Don't expect any person to
what
tell
the
you.
church to do is, let me tell you my problem with the church. The church will tell you, separate, but don't divorce. So you're going to live separate. You are still going to be married. But then sometimes in Nigeria, especially if you are Igbo, they will take the children from you and give to the man. Then you'll be living alone so the man can cure himself. It's a mess. So when people see that, the option they give you is like, imagine you bring a car to the port and they tell you bring 20 million to clear it. And then somebody now says, don't worry, we'll give you a discount. And they give you 200,000 naira discount. Do you understand? So that's
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they take the 20 million and say, you know what, bring 5 million. They just take something very little and say, hey, you are separated. When you are separated, the man can still come and beat you. They will tell you you cannot divorce. Listen, Nigerian church doctrine says it is impossible to divorce. Nigerian church doctrine says no marriage, no ministry. And you are aware of this, and that needs to change. You see, I believe change starts from a mindset.
But a few churches are adjusting. I know of one that are adjusting.
And how
They
when
would
adjust,
they don't announce it, but they dissolve a marriage. But they're gonna call a panel.
but would they still not be prejudiced against the person?
Well, it is what you get. You got to be bold enough to fight for
Now,
yourself.
no, you are bold. Or how bold were you even? How long did it take you to be bold? Even me, how long?
It took me a whole lot. Yeah, it took me a lot.
So it must be encouraged. People need to understand that. Listen, when we were growing up, if you had autism, they would yap you. They'll say, oh, be didn't. They call autism didn't. Now you dare not criticize someone who has autism.
Who's autistic? Yeah, exactly.
Do you understand? Because of
Yes.
Same thing with HIV/AIDS. Just sack a guy because he has of his HIV status. He will lock your whole company. He will sit in his house and will earn salary for you for 5 years without doing any work. So that's the same thing that has to come to divorce in the church. And until it gets there, people will be ashamed to divorce. Let me tell you, one of the reasons why I didn't get a divorce when I really needed it was, what will people say? What will my pastor say? I will look like a failure. People need to add into their coconuts that you did not fail at marriage. You succeeded in divorcing yourself from toxicity. I made a good choice by leaving a bad place. And people are supposed to celebrate you for making good choices, not applaud you for staying with bad ones and then calling it perseverance or calling it divorce. Listen, calling it a long suffering. How do they call it?
Long suffering.
Listen, the martyrs in the Bible, Stephen, for instance, Stephen in Acts chapter 7 stood up against the slandering. He stood up against religion and was stoned for it. He did not stand up against Christians. He wasn't martyred by Christians. He was martyred by a people with a different belief system. You dying in a bad marriage, you are not a martyr. In my humble opinion, God forgive me, you are a dingbat. And people need to embrace this inner strength to leave a bad place. And I personally right now believe the church has failed woefully in this regard. And Osinachi is a living testimony.
Exactly. And whoever says divorce affects the children, excuse you. Like, did you hear the interview? Like, they were asking the kids questions. You see, the mirror, they can tell you everything that happened. How is it healthy for them? How is it healthy? They're going to live in a nightmare for the rest of their lives, the horrible way their mother passed. How is it healthy? How does it glorify God? How is it the best way? Now these kids, for all we know, might grow up resisting the gospel, saying no. It was out of being obedient to God that made their mother, die. You never can tell how damaged. They have to go through therapy. If it is abroad, they have to go through therapy. This is when the church will have to rally around them and help them, make sure, everything is okay. Their mental health is okay. Psychologically, they are doing okay. Emotionally, they are doing okay. It's damaging. So I would tell anyone, if you need that help, take that help. Don't wait for anyone to validate you. Whether your church, your pastor validates you, life is more important. If taking the separation first to keep you alive is the first step, because you have to separate before you can divorce. At least you have to take yourself out. Don't serve anybody divorce right there under their roof. Whatever you do, you're at your own risk. But just step away. Just step away. Stay somewhere safe, and then we can talk about negotiation. If it cannot be if the person doesn't want to negotiate and there are no changes, then hit the road. Hit the road and just do the right for you and your children.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, sir.
So much, my dear sister, for coming through with this. I pray that the Lord continues to help you and open your eyes. And I pray that this message of yours is going to, I'm doing a whole divorce series. I might end up doing it for the entire week. I'll take a break to preach about Easter and
Sure.
controversies around Good Friday and all. I might do that tomorrow, but then from Monday we're going back. People need to hear these stories. Lives need to be changed. People
Exactly.
saved. There's no salvation in religion. Religion did not save you. It killed Christ. It was Matthew chapter 26 and Matthew chapter 27. Caiaphas, the high priest, in his palace, that they were plotting to see and condemn Christ. So religion never saved anybody, and it's not going to save you. Christ, on the other hand, if you read John chapter 4, Christ was with a Samaritan woman at the well. She had been married 5 times and was living with a man who was not her husband, and Christ never judged her. But instead of you being like Christ, you end up being like religion. Religion said, stone her. Christ said, he who has no sin should cast the first stone. Religion condemned the woman at the well. Christ didn't. Instead, he used her to save a whole city. He never even called her a sinner. He never told her to leave the man she was living with. Read John chapter 4 yourself. Don't mind me. He never told her to go back to her first husband or any of the other husbands, whichever one of them was alive. No, that didn't matter. What mattered was he saw something in that woman that most people would have missed. Religion misses what you're calling because it's looking for what really doesn't exist. And let me tell you, what religion does is it brings pretenders to the foreground.
Exactly.
And better are the ones that lead religion. Christ was referred to as a drunk and a glutton who always partied with sinners. The Pharisees and the scribes were the saintly ones. Christ was a drunk from one party to the other, hanging out with sinners. Today, Christ will come to Nigeria. Your Jews will reject him because he's never going to meet up to what religion considers holy. So we need to get this religious mindset out of the way. And listen, don't sit down in a bad marriage and say what God cannot do does not exist. She had a stroke. She's 35 years now. How long have you been separated?
It's been, I think, 5 or 6 years now. This year should be 6 years. Yeah.
Somebody having a CVA in their 20s. A marriage that they were introduced by someone in church. The failures of religion are too many. My darling sister, thank you for sharing your story. Take care, God, and we're going to keep in touch, okay?
Yes, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And keep up the good work.
Your story is going to set people free. There's somebody listening tonight that is going to make the decision to divorce themselves from toxicity. Some people just need your boldness to fuel them.
Yes. Yes.
Take care.
All right. Keep up the good work, sir.
Thank you.
And have a good night, everybody.